crazy is it you're there working with JR now, and like at one stage you were like, you know, batting heads back in the Monday Night Wars back in the day, and just I love the crossovers and things that are happening now too, like where you pop up on TNA. I think it's the perfect time, and like you said, like nostalgia is a massive, massive thing. And Nims, we all remember Tony Schiavone.
Oh, mate, are you kidding me? I still watch Nitro to the day. I mean, come on.
Yep.
You do.
Wow. Does that actually freak you out a little bit, Tony, that you have people that like you said, like 18 years is a long time. And these are people that are probably still in college and stuff like that, that might come up to you at a fan fest to be like, oh man, I love that thing you were wearing at Spring Stampede 1997. And that was so cool with the little hats you had. And you're like, what? I don't even remember.
And you know, one of the biggest ones, and this is where I'm very, very blessed and very lucky. One of the biggest ones is Tony Khan. He knows everything about me. A story, our first Dynamite was in Washington, D.C., October 2nd, 2019. And I had met with Tony. I knew Tony, and, you know, JR and I had talked a lot and talked about possibly working together and it all fell into place. And JR and Tony and I were backstage in Washington, and we were sitting in catering. And Tony looked at me and JR. He said, man, it's great seeing you two side by side. He said, I can remember Halloween Havoc 1991. And I looked at JR. He looked at me like, uh-oh, here we go. And Tony said, do you remember PN News? I went, yeah. He said, do you remember his rap that he had that night? I went, no. So Tony rapped the whole song for us right there sitting beside of us. And it was like, holy shit. I mean, he knows stuff that we have completely forgotten about. So Tony was one of those fans like yourself that, you know, that watch Nitro and then watch WCW Saturday night and watch World Championship Wrestling. And because he was such a fan, I mean, I'm telling you, Tony Khan thinks about wrestling, I think 24/7. He's got a lot going on with the Jags and Fulham and his other ventures. But he's always thinking about wrestling, and thank God he was one of those fans like yourself that said, let's try to do something. We got the money to do it, and struck out a deal to be on TNT. So here I am today because of nostalgia, because of people watching and remembering the old times.
I think there's one other very important point to make here as well, nostalgia aside and things like that. And that's the fact that Tony, you never lost it either. You know, you know, you've always been such a good, you know, play-by-play announcer. And I think too, the fact that even away, you were still doing that stuff, coming back in, I think one of the things that was so reinvigorating and refreshing for a lot of people is you never missed a step.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that. I really think that I'm very critical of what I do. As you know, Dirk, I don't like to watch myself on TV. And I very rarely will watch it back unless like Britt Baker forces me to. You need to watch our interview. Watch what we're doing. I said, oh, geez. Okay, I'll watch it. And I proudly say that on the last show, you guys talked about reaching 1 million. The highest rated segment was Britt's interview with me in the ring. Isn't that something? So that's Britt. That's not me. I want to make that clear. But I appreciate you saying that, Dirk. But I have lost a step. Believe you me, I've been in this body the entire time. I know I have. It takes me a little bit. I listened to some of the stuff back when, especially now that Conrad and I are following the stuff from 1986, and I just don't have what I used to have, but I have the enthusiasm for the business that I used to have. I always thought, and I've said many times on many of these different podcasts, that the best wrestling announcers to me were always the ones who were fans first. And all of a sudden, when a match gets good, I cease becoming an announcer and start becoming a fan, like people watching. And I think that resonates. At least I like to think it does. And that's why maybe fans say I haven't lost a step. Maybe they say that, or maybe Dirk says that because my voice is so soothing. You're the voice of my, people say, you're the voice of my childhood. I hope you don't mind saying that. I said, no, I'm honored you would say that. I don't mind you saying that at all. It really honors me. And another thing too that I like to think that has helped me out through especially in the last 3 or 4 years, is that I'm very good with fans, and I'm very good with fans, and it's not disingenuous. It's real. And I'm authentic with fans when I meet them. I want to know their name. And each fan that I talk to has a story about why they watch wrestling or why they watch me. And I want to hear it because it makes me feel good about what I did in the past. When someone comes up to me and says, your show, be it Dynamite or even especially What Happened When, because as you know, Conrad and I get really off the rails with that, way off the rails with that. And it gets at times very entertaining and very funny. When someone says to me, it helped me through a hard time during COVID, or it helped me through a hard time when my father passed away, or when my wife left me, or I had a child sick. And I've heard all these stories. When I hear that, it makes me feel very, very good that what I have done in my career and what I'm doing now means something. Because I've often thought of myself as just an announcer. I don't cure any diseases. I don't do any research. I don't do anything important in life. But if what I do makes your life better, then maybe what I'm doing is important. So when I hear that, I feel good about it, and that's why I'm genuinely nice to fans on a sincere level. There's nothing phony about me when I meet a fan, and because I appreciate each and every one of them, I really do.